I think I just saw you. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. I see some familiar faces. Hi, Helene. Hi,
Hi.
Kiwi. I'm only calling out the names I know. I don't want to embarrass anyone. Hi, Kayla.
Hi.
Hi, Nina. Yay. So I think we're going to have, there's 60 people signed up for this today. Kiwi said Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Kiwi. I can't believe we're officially in 2022, but we made it, I guess. So that's a good thing. So we'll give folks maybe one more minute to straggle in. If anyone wants to show off their pups, I see that Suchita is showing off her pup.
Sasha.
Hello. Nice to meet you. I don't think we've met you before. Welcome.
Oh, this is Sasha.
Sasha?
Yep.
Hi,
He looks
Sasha.
exactly like a Sasha.
And trying to see who else. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Gypsy. Always fun to see her. Hi, Anna. Hi, Mickey. Hey, Nina. Oh, there's Cookie. She looks to be sleeping.
Super ready for this. Just gonna kill it.
Yeah.
She wakes
I
up.
feel she's going to sneak up on the others because, you know, that's how she does it. She plays it cool at first.
You ready? Yep.
Oh, baby. Okay, so it's 8:03 and Lysina is giving me the look because she has a lot to cover today. So we are going to go ahead and get started. So welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. We're super excited to kick off this challenge with you and to be learning with you. It's a new year, so what better time to be learning new stuff and also hopefully just building community with everyone who is also going through the same journey. Few more people joining, so welcome. I just want to quickly go over some admin stuff before we kick things off. So this session is about 60 minutes long. It may go over by a couple of minutes if we have a lot of questions. So feel free to log off at that point if you need to get to dinner or something else. We will send a recording out tomorrow. You can take notes or screenshots if you would like to, but we are also going to send out a handout. So it will summarize everything that you need to do for the challenge. Also, community members, you guys are welcome to post in the circle community any questions you have or any specifics around, you know, when you are playing with your pups, if something comes up. And as we go along, Lysina is going to do a bulk of the presentation. So feel free to message me in the chat and then I can help you out or answer any questions and also direct questions to Lysina. Lastly, there's a lot of new people. So I haven't said this in a long time, but just want to say in terms of just being respectful of our space, we are going to spend the next hour together and then hopefully over the next few weeks, you will join in for other live sessions. So just for the duration of the challenge, be the person that your dog thinks you are, be patient with yourself, with your dog. If people have questions, sometimes they're very obvious questions, sometimes they're not. Just be patient. I think this is a good way to learn. And also there are no stupid questions. So ask away. We will be very happy to take them. So for those of you who are new to Petminded, which I think quite a few folks are today, if you came upon this challenge because a friend or family member forwarded an email to you or you found us on Instagram, then welcome. In a nutshell, we are a community for science-minded dog parents. So our purpose really is to help dog parents understand their dogs by making dog science more accessible and also actionable. So we do challenges like this one. We have Q&As with scientists. We also run courses from time to time, just different ways to not just learn the theory. So, the Psychology Today article or an academic paper, but also figuring out ways to put it into practice. And if you're interested, you can go to our Instagram or to our website. And I'll include that info in the follow-up email tomorrow. Okay, so very quickly, I'm Sonali. I did not introduce myself at the top of the call, but I'm the founder of Petminded. I am a dog parent to Ella. And if you're wondering why I'm wearing my sunglasses in this photo, it's because we rarely get Ella to look directly at the camera. She does not like the camera for some reason. So if you pull out her phone, she'll look away. And I've posted like many funny photos of her doing that in the past. But that's why this picture exists. And I founded the community because I wanted to meet like-minded dog parents like all of you. Not a dog scientist, but I do have some background in science and I've always been passionate about it. For today's purposes, I will be your facilitator. So like I mentioned, feel free to drop any questions in the chat and I will be happy to help you out. Cool. So next, I would like to introduce the fabulous Leysuna, who is our dog scientist. And for some reason, Zoom is being silly with me right now. There we go. So Leysuna is, Leysuna, if you could say hi, I pinned her. She has a little star next to her name in the Zoom. She is our resident dog scientist. And what that means is she is the one who is writing the research notes and she's reviewing the scientific protocols and developing a lot of our games, our content that you see on Instagram, and then throughout this challenge as well. Leysuna came to us from the Thinking Dog Center in New York City, which is a dog cognition lab. And so she has a lot of experience with dogs, but also I think has previously trained sea lions. I used to always confuse that with seals, but I finally wrote it down in her bio so I wouldn't mess it up anymore. Cool. Okay. So if we could just take a moment for everyone to tell us, or as many of you, I know it's a Wednesday, tell us a little bit about you. So your name, your dog's name, where you live, and then feel free to drop in your Instagram handles if you like, because that way everyone can follow each other and we can follow you as well to see how you are making progress. Yeah, so I'll just give you all like 30 seconds to do that. No pressure. And I know some of you are on your phones or other devices, so if you can't, not a biggie. Okay, so we have some New Yorkers here and Californians. Ooh, Massachusetts. I see Queens, New York, Jersey City. Hey, Steph and Wendy, Sappho, Scarlett, and where's Brooklyn? From the Philippines. We have folks from Boston, Missouri, Seattle, Hawaii. Amazing. South Carolina. I feel like the New York contingent always dominates, but it's cool to see folks from all over. And just in case you didn't know, both Leysuna and I are New Yorkers as well. I believe Leysuna is born and bred, but you can get more details on that. She's like a unicorn. Okay, I'll just give you guys 5 more seconds, just in case anyone's typing. Ooh, Delaware, Northern Virginia, France. Oh my gosh, Mickey, welcome. So excited to have you here. Thank you for waking up at 2 a.m. That's amazing. Hi, Dylan. Haven't seen you and Oliver in a while. Ooh, Canada too. This is so fun. We have an international dog contingent. Amazing. Okay, well, keep those responses coming and continue to, if you guys like follow each other, we'll give you all a follow in the next 12 to 24 hours. I'm trying to be disciplined on Instagram these days. Okay, great. So moving on, what can you expect today? We're going to talk a little bit about shifting our mindset. This is the Teach Not Train challenge after all. So we'll just talk briefly about that. And then Lasuna is going to walk you through a few different concepts around dogs and learning. So she's going to tell you a little bit about why should you be doing this? Why is this stuff good for your dog? Why should you be spending this time doing this type of work with them? She's also going to give you a little bit of background on how dogs learn, and then also how you can help them learn. And today's presentation is just a very quick overview. So we will be dripping out this information over the next few weeks. So again, just absorb what you can, and then there is more coming. I believe there are at least 5 or 6 emails coming, and we have quite a few live sessions planned as well after today. Okay, so as I mentioned, we do have some dates that if you want, feel free to bookmark them. So today is the kickoff. Today is January 12th. On January 19th, we are chatting with the Genius Dog Challenge. And for those of you who know, we loosely based this challenge on their work. So really excited to have their lead researcher come and talk to us about that. And then we're in for a really special treat. Some of you may have heard of Chaser, the border collie, also a New Yorker, who learned over 1,000 words. And his dad, or her dad, wrote a book about her that became super famous. And we're super lucky that they heard about our challenge and reached out and wanted to come in and talk about their process with all of you as well. So that should be really, really fun. You guys will all get to ask your questions. And yeah, I'm super excited because I was fangirling personally about this. So that should be really fun. And then last but not least, we have a final test on January 30th. So we will share details about that in the coming weeks. Nothing to worry about right now, but just something to be aware. It's on a Sunday, just so people in other time zones can hopefully join as well. And we will, of course, be recording everything. Some of you have already volunteered to do Instagram lives with us to talk about your progress through the challenge. If anyone else is interested, DM me. We'd love to see how you guys are progressing and also how you're applying the mindset of Teach Not Train. So we'll try to get as many of you on Instagram live as possible. Okay, so you've probably gotten at least 3, maybe 4 emails from us in the past 10 days or so about Teach Not Train. And I'm just curious if folks have any thoughts about what you think that means, or specifically perhaps what that means for you. And if you want, you can also raise a hand and we can bring you up so you can speak to us on video. Any takers? I'm gonna scroll through. I see one hand raised, I think. Tree, go ahead.
I was just going to say that when working with puppies, I've always termed it learning, not teaching. I mean, learning, not training. Like it's a puppy learning class. And so I kind of look at the Teach Not Train in that same vein.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that, yeah, and not just puppies, I guess it applies to dogs of all ages. So thanks for sharing. I see Suchita is unmuted. Oh, Rachel. Rachel, why don't you go ahead and then I'll pull up a few more people.
Okay. Hi, I'm Rachel. And Frankie is my dog. He's over there, which you can't see because he's hiding. But my biggest thing is when you made some comments on Instagram or on email, I can't remember. Right. We have a lot of communication about the shy dog not being, a little bit slower than the others. And I have a very shy dog. So now you've met him and he gets terrified quickly. So I'm really excited for that, to be able to come to his level.
Definitely. And I'll say, I think Frankie's shy. I think it's just a matter of like having him come out of his shell. And I have a shy dog too. So I think that I can totally relate to. And I think Leisuna has a few things to say about, I can tell her she's like ready to say something, but Leisuna, if you could hold for 2 seconds longer to wait your turn. So we have a few more comments coming in. I'll just read off 1 or 2. And then I think there was another hand raised if anyone wanted to say something. But Kiwi said she's just super interested to see how this impacts the speed at which Bianca learns things and how sticky the skills are. Jennifer said teaching is open-ended, but training is with a specific goal in mind. And Steph said it involves being creative. Yeah, those are all great, great thoughts for sure. Thank you for sharing. And I think we are definitely aligned with all of you over here. I'm just curious to see if people have other expectations from what we're doing, or perhaps even, you have your own spin on it, and we'd love to hear it. So when Leisuna and I were designing this challenge, we came up with sort of 3 reasons for why we wanted to do it. One is because we really believe that, and there's a lot of literature around this, frankly, that your dog can learn new skills through play. So that's why this is a challenge. We're going to refer to everything as playing. The human is probably doing more learning than the dog is actually, but we think that's good. We also think that as parents, we can take responsibility for how our dogs learn. And one component of that is really figuring out your dog's learning style. So Rachel just mentioned having a shy dog. I have a shy dog too. And true story, we were taking her to group classes and realized that she would freeze. And someone was like, maybe your dog's not smart. And I was just like, I don't think she's not smart. She just doesn't do well in a group setting. Like that does not support her learning. But that's because I've been reading some of this research. But otherwise, it's hard to advocate for your dog in those situations. Kiwi, people are also greatest. They say all sorts of things. But Kiwi just asked who would say that. And I saw that comment pop up. And then the last thing we think is that it's important to recognize our role in our dog's learning process, because dogs are great. They've co-evolved with us. They're really adaptable. They pick up things really easily. And we sort of take that for granted just because our dogs are really good at reading us. So we just want to emphasize to everyone through the literature that we play a huge role in how our dogs learn. Okay, so how are we going to do this? There's just 2 parts. Leisuna is going to share a lot of the latest research on learning theory in dogs. So you're going to learn the latest science about how dogs learn, what are the best ways to support them, what are the questions that scientists are currently looking at, and how also you could potentially, if your dog really takes to this and you get really excited about this type of work, how you can participate in that type of science. And then the goal is also to start putting this theory into practice. So our request would be, if you actively participate in this challenge, some of it might just seem too easy, might seem too simple, but we think that if you stick with it for a couple of weeks, you will see both yourself changing maybe a bit of your mindset, but also your dog really impressing you and surprising you with how well they learn. Okay, so we have a short video from the Genius Dog Challenge that we wanted to share. with you. And we may not play the whole thing, but it should just give you a sense of what this challenge is based on.
I cannot hear anything.
No sound. Oh, he's might be the headphones. Can't hear.
And narrate a little bit for it. So this is Adam McLosey. He's the head of the lab that's leading this challenge. And these are all their participants. And ultimately they found these participants from all around the world. This is Shani Drawer. So she's the one who's gonna come speak with us. And this is just a video of them showing kind of what goes on during this challenge. So we see the dogs going into another room to look for the toys that their owners had asked for. And a lot of these dogs are really talented in that they do find the correct toy that their owners is asking. And the reason why they're in like opposite rooms is because you don't want to give them any special signals. So all the dog. I hope that explained it well.
Thanks, Larsuna. Okay, I think I just figured it out, but I'm not going to replay that in the interest of time. We will send out the video to everyone. Sorry, having Zoom speaker issues. I think it's because I had my AirPods in, and by the time I disconnected, the video was over. So I apologize for that. But this is a good segue into handing off to Laysuna. So Laysuna, I'm gonna let you take it away.
Yeah, so why should your dog learn new things, right? Because our challenge for this is our ultimate goal is we want our dogs to learn new things. Of course, we're kind of taking a teach not train mentality. And these are some reasons why learning new things is good for your dog and you overall. Of course, the first one is bonding, because whenever we are interacting with our dog, what we want to do is build our reputations with them, and we want like positive reputation. Right? We want to build ourselves as someone trustworthy and someone who is reliable, and give them the information that they need when they feel unsafe or when they feel uncertain. That way they can look towards us, and so they kind of trust us, and in return we trust them to be healthy and happy, and know that if they ever feel unsafe, that they will look once again back towards us. And that's what happens when you are bonded with your dog. So it's very neutral and it's a very beautiful thing. And of course, aging and learning. We want to give them opportunities to use their brain, because just like us, as our dogs age, they tend to slow down, and it's very natural. So for example, when we get older, we tend to be a little more forgetful. So this is the vein of like what I mean when I'm saying like our dogs tend to slow down. But what the science shows us is we can actually slow this decline when we give them the opportunities to actually use their brains, because we always forget it's a muscle. So you also have to exercise that. And so by learning new things, we really kind of keep them sharp and keep their brains young, which overall really contributes to their overall health and welfare and quality of life. So we want our dogs to live long, happy lives. And of course, when we teach our dogs new things, Sonali kind of touched upon this, they have this really amazing ability to learn from us because of the way we have co-evolved together over the centuries and the years. But we have to give them the materials. We have to give them the tools for them to put it all together. So a dog doesn't come into this world knowing all this stuff, but they come into this world with the ability to learn everything. We just kind of have to help them along. Because we also don't realize that dogs live in a very human-centric world. So our world is built by people for people, and our dogs just happen to be living in it, really. And so when we teach them new things, what we're doing is, one, building their confidence so they can move through this world understanding cars aren't so scary, loud noises aren't so scary, especially if you have a city dog. Like that's a lot of human things going on that as a dog you don't quite understand. So to build confidence to kind of move through the world, and also manners so that they are good, happy canine citizens that when everyone looks at your dog, they're like, wow, what a good boy. So of course we want to teach our dogs new things, right? But we have to understand from a learner's perspective, how do they learn? So how do dogs learn? In general, there are three main kind of learning theories. That's associative learning, operant conditioning, and which you probably heard of, but the third one, social learning, you might not really know too much about. So associative learning is really simple. It's basically the pairing of two unrelated things consistently so that your dog starts associating them together. So for example, your dog starts to bark every time they hear the doorbell because every time that they've heard the doorbell ring, a stranger appears. So then through consistently hearing the doorbell ring and having a stranger appear, now every time they hear a doorbell, they're expecting to see a stranger. So if your dog is really anxious, they might be barking to be like, hey, someone's gonna appear. Like, I need you to like alert, stranger danger. And so through associative learning, they are learning that every time the doorbell rings, someone is gonna appear. And this is through prior experience. So knowing that this always happens. Every time the doorbell rings, someone appears. So that's associative learning. And then in operant conditioning is probably what we hear the most about when we are training our dogs. So this is your positive reinforcement, negative punishment, etc., etc. But broadly, it's basically how your dog learns through consequences. So through doing certain behaviors, so through hearing stimulus and then doing a certain behavior, depending on how we are rewarding them, so depending on the consequences of what they are doing, they are either more likely to do it again or less likely to do it again. So a really common example you might have heard is the way you teach your dog sit, right? So you ask your dog to sit, that's the stimulus, hearing the word sit. And if your dog actually does the sit, which is this case, is putting their butt to the ground, they get rewarded. So then every time they hear the word sit, they are more likely to put their butt to the ground because that means that they're going to get a cookie. So that's one example of operant conditioning. And a really cool one is social learning that I don't think we talk about a lot with dogs, despite dogs being constantly called social animals. So social learning is really interesting because as social animals, our dogs have this ability to learn simply through watching others, whether it's other dogs or even you or even children. So literally just watching anything, they could pick things up. And so a really interesting example that I thought would be really cool, and I would absolutely love if my dog had done this, is that at the end of your day, let's say, for example, your dog sees that you kind of pick up all their scattered toys from around the house and put it in the box, and then you guys go to bed. So one day, your dog just starts doing this on their own. So at the end of the day, they just start picking up their toys and putting it in the box. So this is really cool, right? Because one, you never really rewarded them for doing this. It's just something you kind of went about doing because you don't want to trip over toys all the time. And your dog was just like, you know what? I'm gonna do this too. And so that's social learning, right? It's just they watch you do something and they basically imitate you. And in the Genius Dog video, Claudia Fugaza actually does a lot of research on this type of learning, and she shows that dogs are really great at doing this, and they can really learn to do this with formal training. But even without formal training, you don't need the formal training to do it. So yeah, social learning is really cool, and your dog is always doing this. You guys might even have lots of examples of your dog learning from others. Oh, which comes to was great segue for this transition. Can you share an example of something your dog has learned, and what type of learning do you think it was? So go ahead and put in the chat or raise your hand, and Sonali's gonna read them out for me.
And I'll just say there are no like wrong answers to this. You all saw me make a fool of myself with Zoom right now. So hopefully I really lowered the bar. So share with us, please. Jennifer, did you want to say something? Okay, I thought you were on mute.
Rachel has a really cool comment.
Yes, I can read that off. Rachel said, social learning is why it's so helpful for a puppy to learn house training while walking with an older dog who knows how to use the bathroom outside. Lysina, do you agree?
Yeah, I love it. So that's like, it's almost like modeling, right? So having like an older dog like model this behavior for like a younger dog. And yeah, for a younger dog to have like, you know, a really strong connection or even the attention to like pick it up and to like, you know, these observation skills. So yeah, I love it.
And then I think Jennifer said, one of my dogs knows how to tell us when he wants us all to go to bed. What would that be an example of?
So that depends how he learned, right? So we're talking about learning theory. So it depends. So we need a little more information, but we're thinking about how he learned to do that. So are there certain signals that you give out when it is time to bed, time to go to bed? And so, you know, when you don't give those signals when the time comes around and your dog is just like, you know, this is a miss. So he starts kind of setting that routine into motion.
He's
So
the
that
one
would
who
be,
it's almost like he can tell the time.
yeah, right. So if you could tell the time and he's just like, okay, this at this time they usually do like X, Y, Z to prepare to go to bed, but they're not
And we
doing
go to
it. So
bed.
I'm right. Then he's just like, I will initiate this because they're not doing it right. They're not doing the bedtime, the closing shift correctly.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that would be, you know, so that could be a mixer. So none of these are mutually exclusive. So that could be a mix of associative and operant. So associative because he's associate this time of the day with you, you know, starting to start the bedtime routine, but you're not doing it. Or even operant conditioning in the sense that if, you know, if sleeping is rewarding for your dog, especially after a long day, and there's like, I want to go to sleep now, then they're doing it so that they get that reward of sleep and rest.
Okay, so we have quite a few coming in. This is cool. Caraminder said his dog pees and poops outside, then he gets a treat upon his return inside.
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
So that's a really good example of operant conditioning, right? So specifically positive reinforcement, you're rewarding your dog for doing things that you like. And so you want to increase the chances of them doing that again. So once again, you want positive consequences for behaviors you want to be repeated in the future.
Next, we have one from Kiwi. She said, associative learning with noises in the hallway. I think a lot of New Yorkers would. We identify with that too.
Yeah. So so could be a combination once again, right? So depending on their previous experience with noises and how noise sensitive they are, then it could be associative. But then it also could be just kind of like internal. So they don't necessarily have to learn that noises are bad. So if they're kind of naturally noise sensitive and they just like noises just kind of like eat them out a little bit, then we actually can utilize these techniques to train them and to teach them rather that noises aren't so scary. And usually we do this through a form of conditioning that's desensitization, which is basically like when they hear noises, you give them treats because now what you want to do is associate noises with good things. And so that is a form of learning that we can use with our dogs to teach them that things they think are scary aren't too scary, and that actually it makes like treats rain and lots of praise. So yeah, not only, yeah, so these are ways we can kind of utilize.
So I think Tree basically said something that's very much aligned with what you said. Lots of behaviors are learned through operant conditioning via positive consequences. Then Mickey has a really funny one. She said, every time I change trousers or brush my hair, my dogs run to me as he thinks he will go for a walk. So that's an example, she says, of associated learning.
Yep. So associate learning because they associate getting dressed with going outside. I love it. There's actually been like so many TikTok videos of like what have you inadvertently like taught your dog? Super cute videos. And very much along those lines.
Hey, I'm going to read out one comment from each person to keep this going. Steph says, Sappho learned that if she paws my legs, she gets a treat and lots of praise from me. Wendy, her other dog, learned that if she closes her crate door, she gets treats. And if she hears the sounds of the glass jar of treats opening, she drools, lies down, and looks at me for treats.
Okay, let's do that one backwards, right? Because so the last one is associative, right? Very Pavlovian. So when when they expect a treat, they just automatically like it's just start salivating because they're just like getting ready to have some yummy treats. And I think that's really interesting because when I was thinking about the crate training one, usually you crate train using operant conditioning, right? So usually positive reinforcement. And then once they kind of have that settled, they just start associating being in the crate with good stuff. So then they go in the crate and they're just like, then they just expect treats. So you're no longer really doing the active operant conditioning because you're not really training them anymore. So this is kind of like out of a training context. But I really love that because like we want our dogs to associate positive things with most things in their life, right? Even the vet. So associative learning, very simple, but which is good because we want them to associate positive stuff just throughout their lives with lots of things.
And now we have a very human example from Anna. She says, my dog trained me to open the door every time he wants to go out.
Ooh, so that's like an example. Yeah. I love, learning from each other is also great. But also I love the communication because like the thing with teaching is like once you teach your dogs these things, they can always communicate with us, right? It's like they talk back to us. So like letting us know that they want to go outside.
Okay, we
So
have
these are kind of like the skills. Yeah, so these are skills we want to teach our dogs.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. I'm just going to read these off really quick and then you pick the ones that you want that are different from the ones you've heard so far, perhaps. So Allison said,
they're also unique.
That is true. I was just looking at the clock. Allison said, whenever I open the freezer, Luna goes to her place because she expects a frozen treat and she's usually getting one. So what would you say that is? Which type of learning?
I want to say associative because, they're associating the opening of the fridge with getting a treat. But it also could be operant if you have trained your dog to like every time they place that they get a reward. So therefore, the fact that she is placing herself is a behavior and she's repeating it because she's just like, I get good stuff when I do this. So once again, combination.
Cool. Okay, so we have so many examples here. I don't think we can get through all of them. I'm just looking at the clock. Sushita has a question that I think you already maybe alluded to, Leisuna, so maybe we touch upon that. She said, is associative learning like Pavlov's experiment?
Yeah, so Pavlov's came first. So he so associative learning is Pavlov. So the pairing of two unrelated stimulus together in order to kind of give it meaning. So for example, Pavlov's, just quickly for anyone who doesn't know, Pavlov rang a bell and then presented food and then and the dogs would drool. So initially ringing the bell and presenting the food had no association, so the dogs would not drool. But over multiple pairings, every time they heard the bell, they started expecting the food, and so the dogs would be drooling as a result. So that is very, very Pavlovian example of associative learning. So pairing of multiple stimulus, unrelated, and then relating them.
Cool. So I'm going to save this chat, everyone, and I'll have Leisuna take a look at it. So maybe in the next week, as we send you emails, we can include some of these with her responses because we are at 40 past the hour. We only have about 20 minutes on the clock to get through quite a bit more, but this is really fun. Maybe we should do just like office hours or something with Leisuna around these questions at some point.
So thank you everyone for sharing all of that. That was actually, I feel like I learned more from hearing other people's examples, but Lacey, now back to you.
So now we know why it's important for dogs to learn, and we learn how dogs learn. And so now we want to know what our role in this is, right? Like our dogs are so smart. It seems like they learn anything on their own, but no, they need a little help from us. Like we are very important to their learning process. So what can we do? So these are 3 things you can do. Each of them have lots of studies on them. I just chose the like representative studies that we're going to talk about briefly and draw examples from. So these are positive reinforcement, tone and pitch of your voice, and of course, positive association. So positive reinforcement training. So we want to choose the correct technique when we are teaching our dogs. And you can kind of think back to when you were in school. What methods did your teachers use to really help you learn and make you really excited about learning, right? For dogs, what studies have really shown is comparing all the different methods across the board, positive reinforcement training seems to come up on top in terms of long-term results, in terms of happy dog and like good welfare, and also engagement. So your dog wants to continue learning. They want to train with you. They want to continue learning new things. So choose the right technique, and positive reinforcement training seems to be the way to go. And then also, now that you've got the proper technique, this seems kind of obvious, right? Like we want to get our dog's attention, but if you think about it, a lot of the times we train our dogs when they are distracted or when distractions are too high. And so they're not focusing on us. And the thing is, when they're not focusing on us, they're not taking in information. So, if you think about to your last meeting, like what are reasons that you kind of like clocked out of the meeting and were not paying attention, or even in class. For me, one of these things that makes me like really bored in meetings is when we speak in like a really monotone voice, right? And this is with presentations like this as well. We don't want to talk in monotone voices. We want to be animated. We want to have we want to like change our voices a little. We want to get like a little excited. And so this is actually the same with our dogs, right? We don't want to use monotone voices. We don't want to use, often I hear like owners use voices where they're almost like a dictator, where they're just like sit down, like, and it's like it's boring, like it's boring for a dog. So get your dog's attention. And so the way studies are saying to get your dog's attention, it's ultimately like get silly. Like you can use baby talk, or specifically in the research, I'm gonna throw like a little science at you, but don't be freaked out. Naturalistic dog directed speech. All that means is it's baby talk, like just baby talk your dog using words they know. So dogs pay attention when you kind of like change your voice a little. So think about when you go, who's a good boy? Who wants a cookie? Do you want to go for a walk? This is the voice, and these are the words that your dogs really want to pay attention to. So even when you're teaching your dog sit, you go, sit please, or like you can get silly with it. Like that raise in like the end of my voice, that like high pitch really gets your dog's attention. And when you get your dog's attention, they are absorbing information. So, they're not looking at the squirrel across the street or like that other dog that's across the street. They're looking at you. And so you need your dog's attention in order for your dog to absorb information from you. And so that's what we do. We baby talk them. So don't be shy. Baby talk your dog. And of course, positive association. So we talked about a lot of positive associations. We want to have a lot of positive associations in our dog's life. And you're just like, okay, yeah, great. That's for like their welfare and everything. But there's actually a biological aspect to it too. So when dogs are happy, they release dopamine, which is their happy hormone. And dopamine actually plays a really big role in learning, in terms of like strengthening like those neuron connections in their brain for memory. So when your dog learns something, you want, in order to have long lasting effects, they have to remember it and they have to be able to recall it. So I don't know about you guys, but math was super traumatic for me. And as a result, I don't like break out my account book to start balancing my budget and everything just for fun on a Sunday night, because math is difficult and I don't want to do anything difficult when I'm trying to relax. And so that's the same with their dogs, right? If you make training really stressful for them and really traumatic, what they are learning there is very in that moment. So they just want to do what they have to do in that training session, get it over with. So then when you train them in the future, they don't really want to recall that memory because it was so stressful for them. Whereas if it was fun and happy, then they're just, you can recreate that like fun training environment. And then they're just like, oh, wait, this looks familiar. I can, like, I've done this before. Like the last time we were out in this field, we had such a fun time. I was like putting my butt to the ground. They're throwing treats at me. I was like, you know, I was running back to them. They're telling me how good I was. So positive associations with everything they do, with the commands you teach them, with like the environment that they're learning in, just make everything like really happy for them so that they want to go back to that memory. And when they go back to that memory, they can also draw all the information that they had learned back in time. And this is also how you kind of get long lasting results that you want to see, to know that your learner learned something. Cool. Oh, so quick reminder, right? You are important in your dog's training journey because your dog is doing the best with the information that you give them. So they have the ability to learn, but you need to give them the tools, you need to give them material, you need to be their guide, and they need to trust you. And so this is the bond. They need to trust to look to you to give them solid, reliable information, not to put them in danger and not to ask them to do dangerous things. Ooh, so here's the fun part. So here's my challenge to you guys, and you guys as in you and your dog. So as Sonali said, we were inspired by Chaser, this little cutie patootie here who learned over 1,000 words. But Chaser is not the only dog who can learn words or even can learn this many words. As we kind of saw in the Genius Dog Challenge, they found a bunch of dogs who could learn words. And so what your dog can be one of these dogs who learns words, and who knows how many words they can learn. So that is really up to you. That's up to your dog, and that is up to how much, you know, time and energy, and how much you guys enjoy doing this. So it's all up to you guys. But yeah, it could be your dog. So what you will need for this challenge is basically 2 main toys. Your first toy, we're gonna call your target toy, because this is the toy that we want our dog to learn the name of. It can be a new toy, it could be an old toy. And yeah, it could be either old or new. If it's new, you're gonna be starting lower, so the challenge is gonna be a little more difficult, but I highly encourage it. I did it with a new toy. And your second toy has to be a new toy. So it has to be something your dog either has never ever seen before, or it's a toy you've had lying around. Maybe your dog hasn't seen in a while, and doesn't really like, you don't really call it anything, but maybe something at the bottom of their toy bucket. Either way, both toys should be something that your dog likes and something that's interesting to them. So at least one new toy for the second one. The first one doesn't have to be new. It just has to be a toy that you want your dog to learn the name of. And optional, you can have treats. Do you want to take questions? I see a hand raised.
Go ahead, Rachel.
Okay, so I have my 2 toys.
Oh,
and
I have,
yeah, yep.
We can do a tour review.
So I chose one toy that it's interchangeable. It's a supervised play toy. And then, oh my gosh, Frankie just came in the room. And then another toy that is brand new. So we have a Mr. Bill who's interchangeable with a gorilla. Okay.
Wait, what do you mean interchangeable?
I have another gorilla, and yeah, stop it. Yeah, it's a sort of expensive toy, and he loves it so much. But it does. You get it? Can you hear that? So he
Yeah,
makes
yeah.
a special oh no. Okay. So he loves oh no, and then he also loves the gorilla. Ooh, ooh, ooh. So
Oh, the sound.
he's
Yeah, okay, okay.
always so he's either playing he's doing supervised play either with Mr. Bill or the gorilla. And then the new toy is a rhinoceros, which is a regular old Kong that has a squeaker. So my question is for supervised play toy, because it's interchangeable with one other toy, should I name them the same?
I would stick with one. So I wouldn't interchange it. So I would just pick a sound and stick with it
So
because yeah. So if you stick with
so
Mr.
Bill and the
Bill,
gorilla I would choose one name for
choose one.
Bill and
You
the
would choose
gorilla for interactive
Yeah, you would
play.
choose one name, yeah, but I would also not like switch out like the gorilla sound. I would like stick to one if that's possible. Or if you want to, if it's something your dog really enjoys, I would switch to, so I would pick one. So say it's the oh no. Yeah, so say you want to teach the oh no, I would use the oh no for like your playtime, like your official like teach.train challenge playtime. And then if you switch it out to the gorilla, then he could just play with that as is. And you wouldn't
Okay.
really use the name. Yeah, you wouldn't use the name for it. So use your official, say for example, Mr. Bill as your like official toy. So that's what I use. That's gonna stay consistent. But your dog could play with it outside of the teach not train, but you just wouldn't go through the protocol with it when it's like in gorilla mode.
Okay, yeah. So Bill is his
Does that make sense?
favorite compared to gorilla, but I mean clearly you see
Yeah,
what's
it's
going
totally
on
up to you.
in apartment 313.
Oh my God, you can let him have it. So the
Poor
target
little
toy
bear.
is going to be out. Yeah, so your target toy is going to be the toy you're teaching. So it can be out. You can leave it. You can leave it. Your dog can initiate play. You can initiate play with your dog anytime they want. But toy two, we want to put that away. We don't want to think about toy two. We don't want our dogs to see it. We don't want our dogs to access it until our final test. So just put it away, put it out of mind, out of sight. And treats. You can have treats. They're optional if your dog is more food motivated than toy motivated. But don't feel like you need to have the treat. Also, if your dog is really playful, you don't even need the treat.
So Lisa, now we do have a quick question around if your dog destroys their toys, should they probably just continue to play with the same one even if it's lightly destroyed, or?
Yeah, lightly, yeah. So you will be, it's a very interactive thing. So oh, tugging, yeah, no, okay, tugging is really destructive, isn't it? But you can kind of, for the purpose of this, lightly destructive is perfectly fine. Obviously, we don't want it like completely destroyed to the point where it's unrecognizable or like unusable or dangerous. So if your dog is like a tugger, you can always kind of like moderate that a little bit. So asking them to just like chill. So if you have like sometimes like my dog, we have a command just for him to like let go, so that we can kind of like just like kind of reset. And so it's just not like, it just minimizes on the tugging. But it's not too terrible. You will be very interactive with your dog, so you can kind of moderate their level of play and make sure they don't get too destructive. But always having fun. Never moderate fun. So for your target toy, and this is also for the new toy as well, but this is, or just making a name when you are naming your toys, you want to make it unique. You don't want it to sound like any other command so that you use often. So anything like that sounds like sit, come, stay, or place, you don't want to use. And you don't want to make it sound like any other familiar word. So cookie, treats, walk, any nicknames you give your dogs. So anything that you use often with your dog, anything that could be potentially familiar to your dog, you don't want them to use, because it's just going to be really confusing for them. So make it unique. So my dog has, so this was my dog's target toy. It's a watermelon. So we call it Wawa Melon. That's about 4 syllables, but you really only need 1 to 3 syllables. That's enough for anything. I mean, I went over by 1, but it's totally fine. These are loose guidelines. You definitely don't want to go over 4, because I think any 5-syllable names is just like very long, and like your dog is probably not going to pay attention to the last 3. But yeah, so for example, I have a watermelon, we call it Wawa Melon. It doesn't have to be a real word. Like, what is watermelon? I don't even know. So get silly, get creative. I think like a bunch of Chasers toys, like Mr. Bill is like a really cute name. I think for one of Chasers toys, they called like Meow Meow or something because it was like a humanoid cat. Oh, I saw a quick question.
Yeah, so we have two good questions. Let's just take them quickly.
Mhm.
One is from Mickey. She said, should they be different style toys or the same, like a ball and a stuffed toy or two tug toys? Do you have a preference, Lacina?
So I don't recommend ball toys just because there's balls everywhere and ball they'll probably hear it a lot in the outside world in general. So I do recommend anything like what Rachel had, Mr. Bill. That's really my only restriction. So I don't recommend ropes and balls. So like the really kind of really basic dog toys, the ones that like almost every dog has. So stuffy toys like this watermelon, and I can show you my dog's new toy too. So it's like a donut. They're both like soft, squeaky toys, so they can be similar, but they're visually very different, right? So his watermelon is round and his donut is flat with a hole in it. So that's a really good guideline. So they don't have to be different, but visually they should be somewhat unique. I wouldn't stress that too much though. If you have an example of what toys you plan to use, I can kind of give you like an okay or like make recommendations. But honestly, you might be fine. So I see Carolyn's. Carolyn's, that's a good toy. Is that your target or your new? Is that toy one or toy two?
That's the target, and it makes a great noise. It makes
Okay, that
it's meant to make a farting noise.
that's like a piggy.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We do have
Mhm.
one more question, Lacina. Nina wanted to know, is it easier with less syllables?
It depends on your dog, but in general, two like yeah. So one, it depends on your dog. 1 to 3 is like a good sweet spot. But so if it's just if your toy name is just one syllable, that's perfectly fine. Even 2 is perfectly fine. So it depends. But it's fine. Like 1 to 3. If you're in between 1 to 3, you're perfectly fine. If you want to make it like as easy for your dog as possible, I usually like 2 syllable names because one is just like saying one syllable, it just tends to be a little quick. Whereas 2 syllables, the first syllable can like kind of get your dog's attention, and the second syllable, it's like clicks. But yeah, 1 to 3, as long as you're in the 1 to 3, you're in a good sweet spot. Cool. Anything else?
I think we can move on. So I'll just quickly mention that we're about 2 minutes away from 9 p.m. Eastern, which I know is late for many of you. If you do need to drop off, apologize for going over, but if you need to drop off, feel free to do that. We will send a recording in the morning, and a handout will go out right after this. But if you can stick around, I think it's probably going to take another about 10 minutes to go through everything. So feel free to stick around, but also no offense taken if you have to go. But Lacina, go ahead and I'll keep monitoring.
So quickly, what are we doing with these toys? So once again, we're putting our second toy away. We're not thinking about it. So we are talking about our target toy here. All we're doing is beginning today or tomorrow, because it's kind of late. You want to play with your dog for about 3 to 5 minutes minimum. I encourage way more. So just for reference, Chaser's owner played with her for 4 to 5 hours a day. No, I don't expect you to do that, but it's just so you know, the more the better. But you want to play with the dog at least 3 to 5 minutes with the toy, using for more or less following this protocol. When you guys are playing, whether you are fetching, whether you are tugging, whether you are kind of like playing pretend hunt stalk with it, use the name of the toy often. So I'm constantly saying like watermelon, watermelon, and you want to take pauses, right? You don't want to just go watermelon, watermelon, watermelon. You want once again naturalistic dog directed speech. So we're not rushing through the name. We're saying it just normally, like as we would say it, just like supernatural. So use the name of the toy often. And once again, play however you and your dog usually do. You don't need to do anything special. If your dog loves to fetch, then throw the toy and say something like, bring it back, bring watermelon back. You can also, so this is for dogs who are not super like play motivated and more food motivated. You can throw treats intermittently between playing with your dog. So whether you're throwing it, when they bring it back, you can throw a treat and then continue playing. If they're tugging and they stop, you can throw a treat and then continue playing, et cetera, et cetera. So just, once in a while, if you want to toss a treat for your dog to kind of keep them motivated. So the goal is just to keep them motivated, keep them engaged, keep them having fun, keep them wanting to come back and play with you. So we're all about play here. So this is the main part. We want our dogs to play with us, we want our dogs to be engaged, and we want our dogs to be attentive. Well, not necessarily attentive. You see they're very attentive. So you can intermittently throw treats for that. If your dog is having perfectly fine, you don't have to do this. And then track your days that you play with your dog. So we're gonna have a Sun Alley made a handy dandy tracker for you guys, so you can check off, take notes, and see your progress report. And then we will send reminder emails throughout the challenge to keep you on track, to keep you motivated, and to give you fun little tidbits throughout. I think that's it.
So I don't know if we have time for a demo. Maybe after you go through the entire instructions, Leisuna, if anyone wants to stick around, we can quickly demo it for them. But perhaps we keep going for those who need to get to dinner.
So this is a handout you receive. I just had like a quick thought that I like totally forgot. Praise. You can praise your dog. So you don't just have to use the name of the toy. Lots of praise. So you can go, well, Melon, good job, baby, good job. So lots of praise, lots of name using. Anyway, back to this. So this is the challenge tracker. You're gonna receive an email with this handout. You can print it out to take notes, or you can take notes in your own notebook, but highly encourage you to track what you are doing with your dog, to just do quick reflections. That way, at the end of the week, when you do your weekly test, which is coming up, you know what went wrong and what you need to do to improve. So weekly progress, right? Once again, we are marking the days that you do play with your dog. If you go over or under, I encourage you to make a note of that too, just for good note-taking practice and good data collection. And at the end of the week, you're going to do a really quick test with your dog to see how much they've learned or how they are doing. So this is a really quick weekly assessment. And the way you are going to do this assessment is you are going to take your target toy and one other toy of your dog's. This is not, it could be any other toy as long as it's not your new toy that you're going to be using in the final test. So just grab anything from your dog's toy box and that's fine. And this could change every week as well. So we're not picky with that. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your target toy and you're going to take any old toy from your dog's usual route of or list of toys. And you're going to place them both on the floor in front of your dog. And then you're gonna show them both. Show your dog both the toys, and then you're gonna ask them, "Where's the name of your target toy?" So where's Watermelon, or find Watermelon. So however you want to ask your dog that is fine. So you're gonna ask, "Where's your toy?" And then hopefully they will do something. So they will either pick the target toy, they will pick the other toy, or they'll be like, "This lady's crazy. I don't know what she wants from me." Whatever your dog does, write it down in your tracker and then review or share with us on Instagram or the community if you are in the community. Yeah, I think I covered that. Did I miss anything? Okay. So once again, take videos of your progress and post them on Instagram. Use the hashtag #TeachNotTrain and tag us at Petminded so that we can find them. Pet-minded communities can post their questions in the Circle community, which I will get to. And there will also be weekly members only Ask Me Anything with me, Leisuna. We will share more details in the Circle community.
Okay, what's next?
Finally, at the end of the challenge, this is where your second toy comes in. We're gonna test, but we're gonna do two things. We're gonna test whether your dog was indeed able to learn the name of the target toy that you have been so diligently teaching them for the past 21 days. And we're gonna play something interesting with that second toy that we're being so mysterious about. So some questions you may have. What do I do if my dog has learned the name of the first toy? So the reason why we're sticking to one toy is we want to encourage you to get a baseline for your dog. So if you do think your dog has learned the first toy, I would just strengthen it, right? So the more practice, the better. So practice makes perfect, right? So I would encourage you to keep playing with it. You might want to change up the way you're playing with it to make it more exciting if your dog seems to be losing interest. But ultimately, I do encourage you to stick with that first toy. And what's the purpose of the second toy? Well, the second toy is for that final challenge, for being super mysterious with it, but don't even think about it. Don't even think about it. What if I missed a day of play? This is perfectly fine. So this happens all the time, right? Our dogs are not in the mood. Sometimes we're not in the mood. Just don't worry about it. Jot it down. You can always make up the time on another day. So if you miss 3 or 5 minutes on Monday, then do 6 to 10 minutes on Tuesday. So on and so forth. And then you'll have a record of that. So when it comes time for your weekly challenge, you can assess, okay, like, did that hurt me or did that help me? Breaks are fine. Like Chaser took breaks. Rico took breaks. We need a break sometime. So don't stress if you missed it. Oh, you also received a handout, which we talked about, and stand to look out for the emails and tips. And come to our events. Ooh. Not bad.
Okay. So that was it. I just quickly want to recap what you guys can expect next, and then we can jump into some questions for the folks who want to stick around. So we kick off the challenge today. If you want, you can play right after this for those of you who are not yawning or waiting to go to bed. You could kick off today, and then you would do your first weekly test on Sunday. We just figured this week is a bit shorter, but that's fine. And then we will do a test every week. It's marked off in your handout. So just remember to do a test every Sunday until the challenge ends. And then on January 30th, we're all going to circle back, and it's not scary. It's just it's a fun way to see how far people have been able to come and how far our dogs have been able to come. So no worries if, our dogs don't do well, but we are basically going to do a variation of the Genius Dog Challenge. So we're being super mysterious about it. You can probably go Google the Genius Dog Challenge. I will be talking about it in some of the emails, but we are going to do a pared down version of it. It's not going to be as intense as that. So don't get nervous if you watch that and you're like, my dog can't do this, I can't do this. You guys should still come. It'll be fun to test our knowledge. And we'll also talk a little bit about some of the questions that came up during the challenge as well. So with that, does anyone have questions for Leysuna about what they need to do between now and January 30th? I think we could take maybe a couple. It is 8 past the hour, but if there's any top of mind questions, feel free to pop them in the chat, or you can even unmute yourself. I do see one from Jennifer. She said that if I'm training 4 dogs, should I use 4 toys or just one?
Interesting question. I feel like it can go either way. I feel like for as personally, if I had 4 dogs and I use 4 different toys, it would be difficult to keep track of. If you can keep track of it and do individual play sessions with each of your 4 dogs, that way the other dogs and their other toys aren't distracting to them, I would say go for it. Otherwise, you can just pick one toy, and I think that would be really cool to see how each of your 4 dogs could pick up that one toy name, and that would be easier on you as well. So if you do one toy and try it across all 4 dogs, you can kind of see, baselines for all 4 dogs, and you don't have to keep track of 4 different toy names.
I have a question on how to use the treats to kind of motivate play, because my dog, she does like to play occasionally, but it's only whenever she feels like it. Like if I try to just like pull out a toy of the bin without her pulling the toy out first and her initiating the play, she's not into it.
Yeah.
And she's very food motivated, but I'm kind of like imagining that if I pull out the treats, she's gonna just laser in on the treats and forget the toy. So I'm kind of curious how to like use the treats to increase the interest in the toy versus, I don't know, just getting her to
Yeah,
try to,
yeah.
yeah.
So it depends. Your dog sounds super food motivated. So usually we try to avoid treats with this because like exactly what you're saying is true. When if you have a really food motivated dog, the thing is like once you pull out the treats, they're gonna laser in on it. But if you want to do this challenge and you need to encourage play, how so it depends. How does your dog play? Does she like to fetch? Does she like to tug, or does she kind of like to do kind of like a fake hunting type of thingy where she like pounces on her toys and stuff?
She'll like pull a toy out and she likes to like shake it, and then she likes to tug and fetch. So she'll pull, yeah, she'll pick the day's toy. I don't know how she picks
Yeah,
the toy, but then yeah, she likes tug, fetch, etc.
So I would recommend picking a Target toy that kind of has like pouches and grooves. So we actually Summer has like an old stuffy that's like a penguin, and like inside the penguin's like belly has like a little pouch. So basically you might want to like hide little treats in those little crevices, so then when she like takes it out, pulls and shakes, the treats are like coming out. So then basically every time she like pulls and shakes that toy, she gets treats, and then she'll return. Hopefully the idea is that she'll return to the toy to shake the treats out again. And so when she's doing that, you can, say, good girl, get penguin, or like shake penguin, or like destroy the penguin. Or like however whatever name you want to target your target toy is. So
Yeah.
that's my recommendation for that.
Perfect. I have like the volcano with the dinos. So yeah, it's one of those ones.
What you're talking about. Yeah, we have the squirrel version. Yeah, so I'd hide treats in that, so that way when she's like interacting with it, she gets treats, and hopefully the hope is she associates like playing with the toy is shaking out the treats, and then yeah.
Great, thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, anyone else? No? Okay. So does anyone need to see a demo of how this would happen? If so, feel free to stick around. We can stick around another couple of minutes and just walk you through that. But just a reminder again, community members, you know how to tag Leisuna in the community, so use your powers, use them wisely, and ask her questions. And then for everyone else, tag us on Instagram so we can see your progress. So we are doing an Instagram live with the Genius Dog Challenge next Tuesday. The recording will go up on our Instagram, so you guys can catch that there too if you're not able to tune in live. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we have Chaser's co-trainer, Pili Bianchi, on the 26th. And I highly recommend that everyone tune in for that event. It's going to be amazing. She's super knowledgeable and just I'm super excited to have her come talk to us. So do join us for that, because I know that Chaser used a slightly different protocol and had amazing results. And if you ask, I just briefly spoke with her, and she'll say that Chaser was not a special dog. It was all about the effort that the humans were putting into teaching her. So I think it can be really inspiring, but also a cool way to learn more about Chaser. So yeah, do join us for that. And then don't forget about January 30th. So yeah, I think that's about it for today. Thank you for staying longer. And thanks for joining. I think there was only one yes for sticking around to do a quick demo. I think that was Kiraminder. So Kiraminder, if you could stay on, we'll just give everyone a second to exit, and then we'll just maybe share videos. Okay, Mickey said she'll stick around. So Suchita said as well. Cool. Okay. So does anyone want to volunteer their dog? Anyone who is sticking around? Just so we could maybe just do a practice run for you, because that might be the best way. Anyone?
To have your dog.
If your dog is nearby, and if you happen to have a toy, because that might be, sounds like Kiramider's dog is asleep. Anyone else?
It's really late for them, isn't it? I can kind of like do like a visual. I can kind of do like a walkthrough.
Do you want to just
Like,
walk everyone through? I can try to rouse Ella. She's very food motivated.
no.
But in the meantime, if you just want to run them through it again, like how you would do it with December, might be good to give a quick demo.
Yeah. So luckily December decided that he was going to live up to his retriever name. So we were playing a lot of fetch with his watermelon. So basically what we were doing is so someone would initiate play, usually him. So he'll kind of come up to us and be like all antsy and stuff, and we'll grab his watermelon and we go, this time, do you want to play? Do you want your watermelon? So we're just kind of like egging him on, and then we'll throw it. So we'll play like we usually do, and then he'll fetch it, and then we do a little tug, and then we go, yes, good boy, good watermelon, get your watermelon. So once again, we want to use that like baby talk. So we're using high pitch. I'm using a lot of praise. I'm telling him like, good job. And this whole time he's like either tugging at his watermelon or like we're throwing it, and he's bringing it back. So it's really nothing special. So however you play with your dog. And so yeah, so December does tug a little. So as he's tugging it, we're just saying like, yes, like get the watermelon, get the watermelon. So we're repeating it. Oh, are you ready?
I was just saying, waving by at a tree and a few others, but yes, I think
Okay.
we're kind of ready. She's very food motivated, but she's not toy motivated. So it's going to be interesting to see how she does this. So if you want to,
it would be really interesting actually if you could like teach her the name of one of her like interactive toys. Like I know you have like a spaceship.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Might be hiding under one of our pieces of furniture today.
Okay, yeah, whatever.
As you can tell, my apartment is full. Well, you guys can't see it. It's full of dog puzzles and dog toys. So here's Ella, and this is her target toy. It's a toy that she doesn't really play much with because she's not super toy motivated. So Lacey, if you just want to direct me, I'll just follow your commands.
Literally just play however you guys play. So if you want, you can try that trick I was talking to Christina about, where you could like shove toys into the lammy and then just kind of like tease her with her a little bit. And of course let her know that there's treats in there. You can go ahead and put some. Oh, can you shove treats in your lammy? Is there like any crevice to like shove it in?
Yeah, I can try to.
Ooh, it doesn't have to be in there tight. Like if it just falls out when she touches it, that's perfectly fine as well. So because Ella isn't super food motivated, we're just hiding food into her toy to try to encourage her to interact with it. I don't know if Ella is too skittish, so if you tease her a little bit with on the floor, so if you kind of put on the floor and like wiggle it around like it's prey, to get her like interested, if that would be scary for her. If it is, you don't have to, and you can just drop it. So as she's eating from it, you could say your target name. So what are you calling it?
Lamb. That's only one syllable, I'm just realizing. So whoever is watching still,
Lammy.
These are all mistakes. Lamby?
Yeah, okay. Nina's Lamb. Yeah, so Lammy. So whenever she's like near it, just go Lammy, yay, Ella. Or however.
Lammy, Ella, Lammy. Who's Lammy?
And once again, you can refill. So every time she's touching it, she seems a little skittish when you put her face. So Ella's like really close to Lammy. So this is almost like shaping, right? So every time she's near it, every time she touches it like that, you go, oh, that's Lammy. Good girl, Ella. Good girl, Ella. Yeah. Oh my gosh, is that Lammy? So just get really, really silly with it. Ooh.
So one thing we forgot, Lacey, and I know all of this is being recorded for everyone to watch. I think Ella gets distracted when there's other sounds happening. So that's also maybe interfering a little bit, but she is interested in the toy because I'm hiding treats.
Exactly. I did see a lot of paws. So basically, if your dog is like Ella, any interaction with the toy, you want to start using the name. So if she's looking at it, if she's pawing at it like she's doing right now, you can go ahead and say Lammy, good girl, Ella, good girl, Ella. So it's almost like you're shaping the behavior. You're almost like shaping her interactions with the lamb with the name Lammy. So that's kind of like the other thing that's going on here. So spoiler alert. But yeah, so that counts as well, right? So any interactions is worthy of praise and worthy of kind of association and learning. So these are all learning opportunities. So she's looking at Lammy right now. Even that, you could be like, is that Lammy?
Good girl, Ellie. Good job. Yeah.
And use the name of the toy. Use the name of the toy often.
Yeah. Ooh. Lammy, good. Yeah.
Perfect.
I don't know if you can see her ear up. She's listening to you, Layson.
Hey, I thought you had headphones on.
No, because of the speaker snafu. Yeah, that's what we usually do. But yeah, so hopefully this lopsided demo revealed how things can go wrong. Or
No,
how
she's doing great. She's doing great. So this is a really good example, I think, for dogs, for parents who dogs aren't super toy motivated, but really, really want to participate in this challenge. So like that, you could say, yes, good girl, Lammy.
She's definitely more interested in it than she usually is. So
Yeah.
The
So
food-
everything Ella's doing here is opportunities for you to use the name and give her loads and loads of praise. As a good, so not a bad example at all. If your dog is super play motivated, you don't have to do this kind of thing. Literally just play with them as you usually do.
Yeah, and I guess one reminder is that Chaser's dad and co-trainers probably went through this exercise 1,000 times. so she could learn 1,000 words. So it probably gets easier with practice.
And as she starts associating with fun stuff, it's going to get easier.
Okay, so hopefully that was helpful. There was a lot of comments that I missed in the chat. Oh no, Mickey wasn't able to see. Okay. And Steph had some good suggestions. Okay. Mickey, I'll make sure that you get the right. Ooh, and now my dog is barking and you can all hear it. This is what happens when you live in New York and there's people coming in and going. But yeah, so I think I'll make sure to get the video sent out. Maybe we'll cut out this part. And Mickey, if you're not able to see it, let me know. Maybe we can just send you a snippet somehow via Loom or something else. But thank you everyone for coming and for staying 22 minutes past. Really appreciate it. And yeah, excited to see how you guys do. So don't be shy, post your videos and email us if you have questions. But thanks so much. Have a good night. Bye. So nice meeting all the new folks. Okay. Good night.